Good evening and a very warm welcome to Thai PBS English News Service. I'm Supajong Pinswan. We start off this evening with a news that a fireworks factory in Saraburi province exploded earlier this evening. No death nor injuries were reported. Residents living in a 5-kilometer radius of the site were ordered to evacuate. At least 2 warehouses of the Pacific Pyro Fireworks Factory, located in Saraburi's Gangkhoi district, burst into flames. The sound of explosions continued for a long period. Residents living in a 5-kilometer radius of the site were ordered to evacuate. Firefighters continue to hose down the factories. There were no initial reports of dead or injured. The cause of the blast remains unknown. This factory produces fireworks and imports raw materials from mainland China. For more of that, please do tune into Thai PBS after the English News Service. After one of the tires exploded, a man fell off the back of a pickup truck traveling on Don Mueang Tollway today and died. 43-year-old Sayut Pasuk fell off a pickup truck traveling on the Don Mueang Tollway, which runs above Vipawadi Rangsit. After the tire of the pickup truck he was sitting in burst and the truck rammed against the side crash barrier as it was approaching Thai Airways headquarters. Despite the pickup truck having a roof covering its rear, the roof became detached when it struck the barrier, and Sayut, who was sitting in the back, was thrown out onto the ground. Sukjit Maya, who was the driver, is currently under police investigation. Meanwhile, Singburi police are still depending on closed-circuit camera footage in their efforts to catch those involved in the security van heist in which robbers ran away with 2 million baht. Almost 4 robbers shot and injured a security van driver before getting away with around 2 million baht in cash in Sungburi's Bangrachan district. Police believe the van delivering cash to a Kasikorn Bank branch was followed for a while before the culprits attacked the van. Police are depending solely on CCTV footage on cameras along the route which suspected fugitives used to escape. There is still no sign of the cash or the robbers. Following last week's LPG tanker accident, the Ministry of Energy is now strengthening regulations on LPG transportation, as well as toughening penalties for wrongdoers who breach safety standards. From now on, every gas tanker has to go through a tough vehicle inspection to ensure that the gas will not leak in the case of an accident. Only those that pass the test will be permitted to operate. The Department of Energy will also increase the severity of punishments for wrongdoers, especially those using or filling gas cylinders which do not meet safety standards or fail to close the safety seal. Penalties will also be applied to factories that sell gas without proper containment or use tanks that are below safety standards. Investigation into the selling of LPG for cooking fuel in Bangkok and into the smuggling of LPG to neighboring countries will also be increased. The method of purchasing computer tablets in line with the government policy to provide PC tablets to first-grade students has been changed from a government-to-government contract to a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, with the private sector. Dr. Runtip Chodnapalai talked to Kunkiat Sithiamon, Democrat Party MP and former chairman of Thailand Trade Representative, who expressed his concern about this change.
I mean, the Thai government has also announced clearly that they will have to use the MOU. You think what would happen after we use the MOU for the computer tablets for Thailand?
It's a 1.9 billion contract, procurement contract. It has to be done correctly. So MOU is probably the least serious form of understanding of contracts. But it depends also on the content of that agreement. So I'm a bit concerned that basically, based on the announcement by various parties related to this activity, it's very contradictory. One said is even an agreement between states, If that is the case, you have to go through the parliamentary process in order to approve it. The spokesman mentioned that. But so far, as of today, we have not seen the content of this MOU. We have not seen the term of reference for procurement. We have not seen the cooperative framework between Chinese government and Thai government. So it's very difficult to analyze in details without seeing all these documents. However, these documents are not supposed to be a secret kind of document. Okay, it's something that public can have access to have better understanding of what the government is doing. So it's just a very normal thing. If the government choose to be transparent, they can disclose all this information to public.
Forestry officials searching reserved forest land in Satun province found hundreds of rai of kratom, which is a plant used to mix narcotics, spreading across the south. Authorities say that destroying the plants is the only choice. Kratom, or Mitragyna speciosa, is one of the 4 ingredients used to mix a popular drug in the deep southern region known as Si Kun Roi, or 4 by 100. The plant has been found growing on more than 100 rai, or over 16 hectares of reserved forest land found in Satun's Manang district. Hidden plantations of kratom are the reason narcotics eradication is difficult in the deep south, especially among insurgents who use these narcotics to drug youngsters into violence. Natural Resources and Environmental Department authorities are planning to destroy the trees. However, they will have to study any possible impacts of doing so, since that piece of rich forest land along the mountains is very fragile. The Australian Embassy in Bangkok is seeking cooperation with the Immigration Office of 3 other countries to catch transnational gangs that supply fake passports and assist in smuggling illegal immigrants from the Middle East into Australia. An Iraqi man, now known to be as Rahian Asor Arabi, and his Thai wife, Sunida Sokun, were apprehended earlier today after the police discovered that they are in the network of fake passport providers for people in the Middle East. The gang then smuggled these illegal immigrants into Australia via boat. The authorities found that a total of 16 fake passports and copying equipment during the raid. These fake passports were sold around 12,000 baht each in Thailand. The price is 25 times more expensive if sold in Malaysia. The police said that the documents were all produced as if issued by the governments and a number of countries in the Middle East. Under the name of Operation Arapaima, Australia is coordinating with Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia to capture the gangs who facilitate people smuggling into Australia. Thousands of soldiers took part in a parade to mark Myanmar's Armed Forces Day in Naypyidaw ahead of Parliament by-elections due to be held on April the 1st. Meanwhile, Myanmar's Border Security Commander-in-Chief, General Min Aung Hlaing, inspected the Guard of the Honor when he addressed the crowds. The Armed Forces Day marks the 67th anniversary of resistance against Japanese occupation in 1945. After decades of military repression, a normally civilian government elected last year has been enacting reforms, including releasing hundreds of political prisoners, relaxing media censorship, and allowing opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi to stand as a candidate for her party. The Democracy Icon Party is contesting 47 of the 48 parliamentary seats at stake after having one candidate disqualified. If Suu Kyi wins the April 1st vote, she will become a junior and minority member of parliament, where the military is guaranteed a quarter of the seats in the country's lower house, and the remainder is nominated by the main pro-military party. Meanwhile, soldiers are keeping borders on high alert prior to the by-elections this Sunday. The 40th National Book Fair, much anticipated by book lovers, is just a few days ahead. This year's book fair specially will be the launch of a special exhibition on ASEAN books in an effort to educate people about the ASEAN community.
The ASEAN Economic Community will start in 2015 and will be a big change for this entire region in terms of culture, economics and politics. The 40th National Book Fair will introduce a guidebook called Know Your ASEAN, which has been published in an effort to answer all the questions about the ASEAN community. The book explains details in simple and clear ways and uses cartoon characters to grasp students' attention. Warapan Lokit Sathaporn, President of the Publishers and Booksellers Association of Thailand, says the aim of this book is getting to know you, learning and understanding the histories and cultures of ASEAN countries. Additionally, the 40th National Book Fair will launch the Jewel Books of ASEAN, choosing books where the stories are about the culture, society and races from 8 countries in the region to create understanding among people in the member countries. Apart from the ASEAN topic, the book fair will exhibit the royal works of Princess Mahachakri Sirinthorn and 2,600 years of Buddha Shanti or the history of Buddha. There is also an electronic book or e-book exhibition at the book fair as well. The 40 Book Fair and 10 International Book Fair 2012 will be held from 29 March to 8 April at the Queen Sirikit National Convention Center in Bangkok.
9 Democrat MPs who are members of Parliament's Committee on Reconciliation resigned today, claiming that their voices are not being heard. The committee continued to push amnesty for Parliament's consideration. If a parliamentary majority agrees with the proposal, it will be allowed to be considered in the Legislative Assembly. The reconciliation plan proposed by the House Committee is the last item on the list for the joint parliamentary meeting today, but Cholanan Seegao, Pheu Thai MP, continues to propose that Parliament debate this matter ahead of other issues, as he believes that it is important and it is debated urgently. But some disagree. Prior to that, 9 Democrat MP members resigned from the committee, claiming that the majority Pheu Thai MPs on the House's Committee on Reconciliation, chaired by General Sonthi Bunyarathkalin, refused to review their requests. Meanwhile, Democrat Party list MP Ong-At Klam Phaiboon, who also resigned from the Reconciliation Committee, says that he does not agree with the results of the research proposed by King Prachatipok's Institute and says that it lacks factual cross-checking.
They will list the wrong sources. So you should not amnesty for all, but we agree on amnesty, but we should have listen that everyone in the society can accept it.
However, the Pheu Thai MPs deny such claims, adding that they are all ears to the opposition's comments. House Speaker Somsakit Suranon says Parliament has not yet considered the detail of the plan, and if the opposition disagrees with amnesty for a criminal case, the opposition has to debate the issue in the Legislative Assembly. Meanwhile, Apisit Vechachiwa, Democrat Party leader, says that in the parliamentary meeting, General Sonthi Bunyarathkalin should honestly answer whether the report of the committee is based on the facts or written by the committee itself. The government whip insists that the resignation of the 9 Democrat Party members will not affect the remaining progress of the committee. He also pointed out that the Democrat Party members have sat on the committee since the beginning, so their resignations could possibly indicate their failed participation in the committee's work. The MPs for Matupum Party, Pheu Thai Party, Palang Chon, Mahachon, and New Democrat Party remain on the committee waiting for the majority vote by the Parliament to propose the reconciliation plan to the House of Representatives. And may I remind you that this is the last week that Thai PBS English News Service will be on air between 9:15 to 9:30. As of April the 2nd, which is next Monday, we will be our on-air schedule will be 11:30 p.m. And that brings us to the end of tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. I'm Supachon Klinsawan. Sawasdee krap.